Following widespread protests, the Kenyan president has made the decision to dismiss a significant portion of his cabinet. Greetings, everyone! Today's video focuses on the recent actions taken by Kenyan President William Ruto, who made the decision to dismiss a significant portion of his cabinet in response to widespread protests against proposed tax increases. These protests ultimately led to the withdrawal of a controversial finance bill. President Ruto, who was elected with a commitment to addressing social issues and reducing debt burdens, is now working towards establishing a new government. It is important to note that Kenya is currently grappling with substantial debt and has recently experienced a downgrade in its credit rating, which has raised concerns about the need for fiscal consolidation. As a result, there is growing public frustration towards both lenders and local politicians due to the challenges associated with repaying the country's debt. Without further delay, let us begin our discussion. In response to widespread protests led by the youth against proposed tax increases, President William Ruto of Kenya has taken the decision to dismiss a significant portion of his cabinet following the withdrawal of a contentious finance bill. During a nationally broadcasted speech on Thursday, Ruto announced that, in light of the opinions expressed by the people of Kenya, he would be dismissing all cabinet secretaries and the Attorney General with immediate effect, excluding the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Foreign Secretary. In response to allegations from human rights organizations that the police were responsible for the deaths of 39 protesters during violent demonstrations against tax hikes, the government has made a significant decision. To fulfill its debt repayment obligations, the government claimed that these tax increases were essential. However, Deputy President Ruto has chosen to forego the tax hikes and implement budget cuts, beginning with the reduction of the government's expensive bureaucracy. After Ruto's initial determination to confront the demonstrators, Patrick Gathara, a political commentator, observed that his subsequent actions can only be characterized as a series of capitulations, marking a shift in strategy following the failure of his brute force tactics. According to Gathara, the Prime Minister's actions, from the withdrawal of the finance bill to the implementation of austerity measures and now to the dismissal of his cabinet, indicate a pattern of consistently yielding to the demands of protesters. During his speech, Ruto, who won the election with the promise of aiding Kenya's impoverished citizens, commonly known as the Hustlers, declared his intention to establish a fresh administration dedicated to enacting immediate and irreversible actions to tackle societal challenges and alleviate the weight of debt. Critics argue that Ruto, who served as Kenyatta's deputy president for almost 10 years, is attempting to shift responsibility onto the previous administration led by Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto blames them for excessive borrowing from both China and commercial lenders, as well as for maintaining an excessively large government. According to Carlos Lopez, a professor at the University of Cape Town's Nelson Mandela School of Public Governance, Kenya, like many other African nations, is faced with the challenge of balancing its external debt responsibilities and maintaining the support of its own citizens. Lopez argues that the situation in Kenya serves as a clear example of the error in prioritizing debt repayment over the needs of the population. In addition, Gathara emphasized the importance of engaging in a conversation regarding our responsibilities, how we have utilized the funds, and whether or not repayment is necessary. While the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and other lenders have faced criticism from protesters for their role in exerting pressure on Kenya, there is also a recognition that the country's own politicians share responsibility for misusing borrowed funds on costly endeavors. According to Gathara, the blame primarily falls on the shoulders of Kenya's elites, as they are perceived to have drained the nation's resources through their actions. Moody's recently downgraded Kenya's rating to CAR 1, indicating a significant credit risk as the government abandoned its goal of reducing the budget deficit to 3% of GDP this year, which would have been the lowest in over 10 years. According to analysts from Citi, the recent rating downgrade has highlighted the growing market apprehensions regarding Kenya's fiscal consolidation trajectory, which is primarily based on an ambitious revenue mobilization plan proposed by the IMF. In the coming years, Kenya will be burdened with substantial debt payments as a result of its decision to refinance a majority of its $2 billion bond, which reached maturity this year at a higher interest rate. Approximately $1.5 billion of the bond that Kenya issued 10 years ago, carrying an interest rate of around 7%, was exchanged for debt that now yields nearly 10%. The yield on the newly acquired bond increased to nearly 11% amidst the protests and continues to remain above 10%. To support our channel's growth and ensure broader awareness, kindly hit the like, share and subscribe buttons. This will help us reach more individuals and disseminate valuable information. Thank you in advance.